Acres of puddling Dorado off the Southern California coast. A great show last night with Mauricio Lopez from the Clemente. Swordfish, Dorado, more marlin as Sean Morgan makes his way up the Baja coast from San Jose del Cabo. Albacore off of San Francisco, and so much more. This is the morning briefing with Friedman Adventures. Well, it isn't even daybreak. I'm down here at the beach recording another morning briefing for you all. It's such a pleasure to be with you all. Hope you've got your cup of coffee ready. There's a guy behind me who is surf fishing on the dead low here. But, you know, sunrise, sunset, magical times in sport fishing where you can get a bite and do really, really well. So let me get into it, jump right in. First of all, mention that Mauricio Lopez, 26 years old, captain of the Clemente out of Dana Wharf Sport Fishing. What an incredible guest he was. You can go back and watch that show as it has been archived for you, and I highly recommend you do it. What enthusiasm he's got for the sport. What knowledge he has. He's a well-spoken, nice young man. I know you're going to love that podcast, so make sure you check it out. All right, let me bounce your way down to Turtle Bay, to Bahia Tortuga, down the Baja Peninsula, where Sean Morgan continues to make his way up. Now, Sean ran boats here in SoCal for about 30 years. Many of you know him. You younger guys may not, but he's an extraordinarily blessed fisherman. Very, very good, hilarious guy, and he loves to share info with yours truly, so I love him a lot. And making his way up, they baited swordfish. They had a 300-pound marlin. They had all kinds of yellowfin tuna, Dorado, and he's been shooting video of all of that. He said when he gets into Ensenada, I believe tomorrow, he's going to shoot me that video. I'll cut it up and have it for you so you can see it firsthand. So if that suggests any flow coming up from the Baja, man, we are in good hands right now. There's so much flushing up the coast. We'll get into it all with you here on the morning briefing, but it sounds like there's 1,000 miles or more of Dorado, and it's plopped itself here off the Southern California coast. Is it biting? Well, we'll get into that and so much more as we move along. Let me take you now to Ensenada, where Arnie Mann, A-R-N-I-E-M-A-N, on Facebook. If you want to book a Pongero out of Ensenada, he's a good one. Blackfin is also another great one. I haven't fished with him, but I have some friends who have, and they have done really, really well. Nice fish. All right, we've got one fish over here. He just caught a nice yellowfin croaker, it looks like. So I'm happy to see that, and the fish in the surf are biting also. Down there in Ensenada, Arnie Mann had a marlin the other day, seeing copious amounts of Dorado on the kelps. He says they're very finicky. They don't want to bite quite yet, but they're seeing a ton of them down there, and a lot of yellowfin tuna, also very finicky. And sometimes when fish move up the Baja Peninsula and into our Southern California and Northern Baja areas, they need to acclimate. They need to kind of get used to conditions, and once they do, once that light switch goes on, it is game on, and it certainly is on the kelps right now for the San Diego-based guys. Pacific Islander, wow, what a magnificent trip on the Pacific Islander. A day-and-a-half trip, 12 guys, 120 nice grade yellowtail, 48 Dorado. The flatheads on some of these kelps are starting to chew, and that is outstanding news, as that bite in San Diego is really good. Not for everybody. There are some misses, and there are some scores that are not up to par, but for the vast majority, it has been really, really good. You need a rod with 25-pound on it and a rod with 40-pound on it. Fluorocarbon is what we suggest, and we love Opsin, www.opsinusa.com. Put in FA at checkout. That's Friedman Adventures, FA, and you'll get a handwritten note and a free gift from my friend Greg Brown from Opsin Fluorocarbon. Choosing a good hot bait is essential, and in most cases, a 1/0 to 2/0 size hook is going to work really, really well. I like a butt hooked bait. It works so good, and if you cast that butt hooked bait out there and it's not doing anything, just spool back a little bit, put some tension on that bait, and more likely it's just going to dart out there and get a bite for you. So that has been a great way. On these kelps, however, the iron has been working very, very well. Surface iron poppers, also super effective. Really excellent kelp patty fishing. The San Diego on a 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. trip with 23 guys. Nice kelping with 83 yellowtail, 15 Dorado, a couple of bluefin tuna. Choosing a good hot bait made all the difference in the world. And that's some good kelp patty fishing. And that is only going to get better and better and better as we move along. I'm telling you, look out. That bite is going to blow one of these days. That kelp patty Dorado is finally going to turn on. That yellowfin is going to surge up here, and it's going to bite. So as we start to move into August, look for that to really happen. And I think we set up for a beautiful fall, September, October, perhaps into November. That bluefin, you know, that's going to get out on the bank. It's already there. There's some long-range guys like the Royal Polaris out there doing really well on the bluefin tuna. So that's going to really turn on one of these days also. Just making a comment again about the bluefin tuna. It is everywhere. Everywhere. They caught it up in the Channel Islands yesterday. On board the CJ, they had a couple of bluefin tuna, and they're seeing a lot of it. And local boats, the three-quarter-day boats here, the Enterprise, the Native Son, the Pursuit, go on and on and on. The Clemente, they are all also seeing lots of bluefin, which just is a reminder, bring some heavy tackle. I mentioned the 25 and 40. That's a really good idea, but you definitely want to have some heavy tackle. It makes a big difference. 2 speed reels with 100-pound. As Mauricio said last night, if you've got it, bring it along. It can make all the difference in the world to your success. So some really good fishing out of San Diego, but now we are seeing the Dorado up in this neck of the woods because the Clemente yesterday with Mauricio Lopez, our special guest last night, rolled up on puddling acres of Dorado. They didn't want to bite. They got 4 fish out of it. But did he see a volume of fish or what? Incredible sights for Mauricio. He said he got into the clean, warm water, and it was game on in terms of seeing the fish. And that's the necessary prerequisite before they bite. They got to be here. You got to see them. And then at some point, they really turn on. Nice little hit for Dorado for a local boat out of Dana Wharf Sportfishing is an incredible thing to see. I love it. We're so blessed as that warm water stuff continues to push up. So really good evidence of life. Is Mauricio, are the three-quarter-day guys ready to switch over to offshore? Not yet. It's not time yet. But the fact that they're seeing copious amounts of Dorado and there's bluefin spread everywhere is a really, really good sign. And if you're thinking, well, there goes the albacore, too warm, the water's too warm. The water's warm on the inside, but outside there is still some favorable water for albacore. Fish being taken off Fort Bragg. There are fish being taken in Northern California now as that edge moves down. And some people, you know, used to theorize that the albacore would move into Baja and then move up the coast. Others theorize that they move in up north and then slide down into SoCal. And if that is the case, here they come. Hang on, I'm still not giving up on our prediction. It looks very favorable for albacore here, way offshore, but still, Dana Half Trips would be able to reach them, and that would really be some exciting stuff. As the sun is finally starting to come up here in Surfside, California. And I don't know if that's a biter back there or not, but he's running over to check it out. Could be some kelp on there in addition. So we're seeing all kinds of great signs. The Fury with bluefin tuna. Thunderbird looking at bluefin tuna. Freedom looking at bluefin tuna. One of these days, it's going to bite. Right now, it's pretty much a spectator sport where the bluefin will put on an incredible show, but at some point they're going to bite. And remember, Colt Snipers, Daiwa Sakana jigs, those are all really, really good when you roll up on a spot of that breezing or breaking tuna. You want to toss one of those jigs into the middle of it, and you don't want to fish anything less than 50 pound. Even then, sometimes you're going to be overmatched. So once again, we are seeing some incredible signal. We've got all that stuff down the Baja Peninsula that Sean tuned us up on, going to be sending us some video. Then as we move up, we have Arnie down there getting a marlin and seeing yellowfin and catching a few, a Dorado all over the place. Yellowtail and the kelps biting good for the Ensenada Pongueros, and there's still bluefin tuna, as evidenced by blackfin the other day with my good friend down there fishing that stuff, Alberto Ponce. I mean, there is all kinds of great signal. And again, we set up for a magnificent fall. All right, let me now talk islands with you, and I will take you down to Todos Santos Island off the beautiful coast of Ensenada, Baja California Norte. A lot of barracuda, good calico fishing. and a few yellows in there. Not really great on the yellowtail, but not bad. There are some days when they really get the yellows. You'll see them up boiling around, tossing iron on it. Bring those lucky crafts. There is bait available on most days in Ensenada, but it can be an issue, and sometimes not the greatest, as most of that bait goes to feed the bluefin tuna that are in the tuna pen. So remember, bring some kind of hard baits, a lucky craft or a facsimile thereof, and you'll be able to crank out some good numbers of fish. Coronado Islands, we had poor conditions, back to good conditions, back to good yellowtail fishing. Nice fish in the 15 to 20 pound class for the most part. And you know, I didn't mention it, but it's worth mentioning. Those fish on the kelps are nice fish. A lot of it is 10 to 15 pounds, some to 18 to 20 pounds. There's a real superior grade of fishing. Same thing at the Coronado Island. San Clemente Island has been a yo-yo all year long. Part of the problem is those voracious sea lions, but that is just a fact of life now that we have to live with for the time being. There are just too many sea lions, and they are gobbling up not only bait, but they're gobbling up your fish as you try to get it on the boat. Thunderbird fished an area, different area, and had a lot of structure, so I think they hooked over 20 fish, got 9 on board, which is to be expected when you're fishing what I like to call bad neighborhoods, really bad neighborhoods in terms of the structure, and you can get sawed off. Another good reason to use fluorocarbon is its abrasion resistance. It will prove to be a positive thing when you hook a big yellow and it scrapes up against a rock or something. You've still got a chance with those fish. So Clemente up and down. There are some yellows there. Same thing on the Freedom. They get them one day, slow fishing the next. There's still most of the time some rockfish, although the current yesterday even made that a little bit more difficult. And an occasional sea bass and halibut also being taken. Santa Barbara, San Nicolas, the weather out there is moderating, looking better. We're going to have a couple of blows during this week, but it's back to fishable again, and there are sea bass being taken at both those venues again here today. So that is great news. Yesterday, I should say, hopefully this morning also. Good sea bass fishing, and man, here we are bumping up against August and still catching sea bass, which is really not a surprise. This is a great time to catch WSBs. Up there in the Channel Islands, a little bit more inconsistent, much more inconsistent on the white sea bass, but there are some guys that are sneaking off, keeping it quiet, and conking the sea bass up there with limit style fishing on WSBs. It is still going on at the epicenter of white sea bass fishing. Ventura, Harbor, Sportfishing, Cisco's, fantastic fishing on white sea bass. Sometimes you're using a 10-ounce torpedo sinker with a 5060 size hook and bombing on down with a live squid, and other times you are fishing a sliding egg sinker, sometimes running and gunning from sonar mark to sonar mark. It is really a lot of fun and some extraordinary fishing going on. As we mentioned, the CJ had some bluefin tuna. All those guys are looking at copious amounts of bluefin tuna. That is really, really great news. Hopefully that's going to continue. And those albacore are being taken off San Francisco. Peter Grossbeck, who knows more about albacore fishing than I have in my pinky. He's really a knowledgeable guy. Him and Tommy Holland have both been feeding me some info. They like what they're seeing up there. Will it slide down into Southern California? Hard to say. I'm hoping, because I don't want to go up in flames 2 years in a row on our albacore prediction. The other day it was going like this. Now it's popped its head up a little bit. I know San Francisco's a long ways from here, but it's West Coast albacore, and we do have some favorable conditions offshore. We got a lot of anchovy around. All of the things that we thought would slide that fish down, and it has done that indeed, just not as far as we thought it might as of yet. We'll continue to watch it for you, and hopefully it's going to do that very, very soon. All right, along the coast, once again, we continue to see many of the boats down there in Ensenada catching good calicos, especially the Punta Banda area. University Point, still some barracuda in there. Up there in San Diego, we've had some good sand bass fishing on the Premier, occasional calico bass bites, a few barracuda and yellowtail once in a while. And Dana up there, lots of short calico bass, but good action out of Dana Wharf Sport Fishing for the local boats. Not many legals, but good action on the calico bass and occasional halibut and that kind of thing. And of course, right offshore from there, 12, 15 miles, 16 miles like that, there are copious amounts of beautiful flatheads just waiting to explode. Hopefully it won't be much longer. Up here in the Long Beach, San Pedro area, catching a few more bass. If you fish the light line, 12-pound, 15-pound fluorocarbon, you've got a much better chance. Anchovies by far are the candy bait for the bass. And if you're gonna hook a bait, your fly lining, want to collar hook it. If you're fishing a sinker, dropper loop, or anything else on the bottom for those sand bass, you want to come up through their mouth and through their nose. Close their mouth, so when you wind that bait back, it will come back naturally. Its mouth is open. It looks, I mean, fish look at it and say, what the heck is that weird looking thing? Is this the Predator movie, Predator 18? So make sure you hook it up through the mouth and through the nose if you're going to sinker fish those things. And then as we move up, Redondo area, Marina del Rey, good rock fishing up there, and a few bass, occasional white sea bass, but mostly rockfish up there with some decent bass fishing at times. My friend Nick Ramirez was on the Spitfire here recently, and he had some really nice calico bass. Some had to be released, some are keepers. Lots of rockfish, nothing wrong with that. Island Spirit up there looking for that barracuda. He's had some really great days here recently on the Gar. Throwing the surface iron has been the way to make that happen. Such a great way to take the barracuda. Coral Sea, Santa Barbara, catching some really excellent rockfish, but that barracuda is not out of the picture. So I've already watched this guy catch a yellowfin croaker. As we look at the surf fishing, high tide today. You still have plenty of time to make it. I think it's going to be like 11-ish, and I like that window starting at 9 and then fishing till 1 in the afternoon. But this guy on the low tide has already caught a fish in the short time that I've been here with you all, so that's a good sign. Remember, spotfin croaker, this is kind of late for them, but everything seems to be late. He had spotfin yesterday, so did my friend Fish. He had some spotfin croaker also. So natural baits for those spotfin, sandworms, sand crabs, ghost shrimp, stuff like that. Big Fish Bait and Tackle here on the corner of PCH and Steel Beach Boulevard. They can get you all baited up the way you should be, or you can dig sandworms right here on Southern California beaches. Good Corbina fishing also. There's been some excellent Corbina fishing going on. And Richard Cairo, check that nice little perch out. Nice catch for him, as Richard is really a great surf fisherman. That's a nice one. Congratulations on that. Good surf fishing just about everywhere. Get out and do that. I like the high tide, but once again, daybreak and sunset are two magical times in surf fishing in all kinds of fishing. All right, Brian and Moon Win will be with us on next Tuesday night. That's going to be a great show. Brian is so knowledgeable. Moon is such a great rod wrapper who has a reputation amongst the thousands of anglers he's wrapped rods for as being one of the very, very best. Next Tuesday night, 7 is going to be a very special show. You'll be able to ask those gentlemen questions and have a really good time with them. Our next charter is August the 19th, Malihini, redemption time. On the Malihini, there's a link in our show description. All you got to do is go to the show description today. You'll see a list of the rest of our charters, which are rapidly going away, although there is room on that Malihini trip, and that should be a good one. 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. out of H&M Landing in San Diego, August the 19th. Join us on that one. Join us on the Pride, and a few spots left on board the Amigo. All right, everybody, it's been a fun morning. It's already a gorgeous day. I send you all my very best as we hit hump day here. It's Wednesday. I'll be out at the Orange County Fair at Baja Blues bartending later today. So if you want to drop by and say hello, I would love to see you. Thanks again, everybody. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again really, really soon for another morning briefing right here on Friedman Adventures.